Historically, The Legend of Zelda and multiplayer don't really go hand in hand, or so you might initially think. Now, obviously, we're going to be highlighting the main multiplayer Zelda games today, the multiple forms of Four Swords as well as Triforce Heroes, but there are actually more attempts to get multiple people together for a Zelda game than even I initially thought. At its simplest, we have a game like Link's Crossbow Training, which has a 2-player sequential score attack mode, a pretty great way to extend some life into this 45-minute long game. Hyrule Warriors and the sequel, Age of Calamity, both feature 2-player split-screen co-op, which is really cool if you enjoy the games, but just wish the frame rate was a little bit worse. It is split-screen only though, you can't connect 2 switches together, and that's kind of annoying, so the final result is a pretty reduced range of vision, but honestly, it's a Warriors game. We're not looking to strategize these massive plans of attack here, it's just a means to button mash your way through, I don't know, turning the completion time down from 1,000 hours to somewhere close to 800, I don't know. Big shout out to the Wii U version of the first game, actually, since both players are given their own screen thanks to the gamepad. That's sick. Definitive Edition on Switch does offer some quality of life enhancements, so I think that still ends up being the better version overall, but hey, let's put a feather in the Wii U's cap, it needs as many of those as it can get. And besides, Nintendo Land's Legend of Zelda Battle Quest probably wins as far as the Wii U Zelda co-op experiences go. The TV user gets a sword and shield with the Wii Remote and nunchuck, and the gamepad user gets a bow and arrow. It's awesome! It's so cool! Not enough people really highlight just how cool Nintendo Land is. Like, oh my god, the multiplayer experiences in that game are still incredible. Metroid Blast is like one of the best experiences the Wii U ever produced, and it was a launch title. That is 2 feathers in the console's cap back to back. I hope Nintendo enjoys that, I expect a thank you. And even Cadence of Hyrule has a full-blown co-op mode, either through the story or progressing through a randomly generated world map. There is a menu option to play the game without sticking to the music, and in this mode, it's actually extremely difficult since both characters moving gets every enemy to move at the same time, making it really hard to plan out each screen. Not a fan there, but keep the rhythm mode on, divide and conquer, it is a damn solid co-op experience. By the way, isn't it crazy that this game is even real? Like an indie-developed Zelda game that acts as a pseudo-sequel to Crypt of the Necrodancer, it features a badass soundtrack, fantastic sprite work, substantial DLC with more characters and playstyles, by far one of the craziest Nintendo products of all time. And to prove to you that I'm serious about this whole playing every single multiplayer component of every single Zelda game thing, I even went ahead and got a full 4-player game of Tingle's Balloon Fight for the DS going. That was unheard of. I found 3 other people willing to open up their DS, access the download play menu option, and play the game with me for more than 10 minutes, likely one of the only times in history this has ever taken place. I mean, if that doesn't convince you to stay around and subscribe, I don't know what will. So what, does that mean a Link Between Worlds technically counts as having multiplayer? Like there's a Street Pass feature that pits you against Shadow Links, decked out however the Street Pass player would like, rewarding you with rupees if you can take them down. It is cool, it does require another player to make work, so it is kinda multiplayer. There's even a whopping 50 achievements specifically for this mode, all won by completing battles under specific conditions. And if you finish all of those, you can then take down a super boss in Gramps. One of the greatest hidden moments in the Zelda franchise, because I didn't even know this was a thing until I was working on this video. Like, wow, this is a thing. You can fight against the grandpa in a Zelda game. It just takes playing a bunch of Street Pass battles. Like, wow, that's so crazy. Watch out for Gramps, the true eater of worlds and destroyer of all things. Ganon doesn't stand a chance. Honestly, this really just makes me further miss the pure concept of Street Pass, but let's be real here. Calling this quote-unquote multiplayer is a bit of a stretch, because technically, if we go by that logic, nearly every classic Zelda game on Nintendo Switch Online becomes multiplayer, since you can get a friend to just watch and clap along as you fail yet another Ocarina of Time speedrun attempt. And yes, I would be remiss as to not also bring attention to all of the classic Zelda games that have been modded to include co-op. From the NES original to Breath of the Wild, so many Zelda games actually do have multiplayer now, they're just fan projects. If you're willing and able to partake in, subjectively illegal activities to get there, these are pretty good times, even if these games were clearly not built for it. Welcome to the third and final part of my handheld Zelda retrospective. We've taken a look at the core Zelda games, we've taken a look at the weird Tingle games, all that's left, the multiplayer titles. I understand that not every multiplayer game is handheld exclusive, I totally get that, most of them are, but there's one major game that's not, but listen, okay? When else am I gonna talk about Four Swords Adventures, alright? cut me some slack. Those Tingle games are really something else, man. It really goes to show that not enough people play these games because, for one, they're really good and you should play them, but also I went through that entire video and genuinely forgot the fact that there is a Tingle micro game in the Japanese version only of WarioWare DIY Showcase for WiiWare, and nobody yelled at me about it. Bunch of fake Tingle fans in the audience, I swear. But first, we're going to talk about today's sponsor, HelloFresh. Oh my god, we're talking about activities that can be done solo or with others, right? What better option than HelloFresh's weekly customizable recipes that are sent right to your front door? Oh my goodness. Fresh ingredients, everything shows up in a nice little package and pre-portioned, making for a whole lot less hassle and a whole lot more, what a line. The easy to follow recipe cards, of which I have like a million of, make for a great way to teach people what makes different foods good, and also make for a great bonding activity if you want to co-op like a chicken sandwich or something. I don't know, you do you. Oh dude, Chipotle cranberry pork meatloaves, dare I say, HelloFresh really cooked with this one. And did you hear that HelloFresh now offers free breakfast for life? With every delivery, you now also get a totally free breakfast item of your choice, and that's great. You already know the deal here. Click the link down below, use my code AntDudeOct10, and receive 10 free meals plus free breakfast for life. Man, food is so good. Whoever invented food should get a raise. HelloFresh. I believe HelloFresh invented food. Thank you. Thank you so much, HelloFresh, for sponsoring today's video, and now, back to your regularly scheduled little green man going on little green adventures. An often forgotten element of the DS Zelda games, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, both contained competitive multiplayer, both locally and online. Well, you know, it used to have online, but you know. And these modes are fine. Phantom Hourglass is a 1v1 mode. One player is Link, the other takes control of 3 phantoms, and those roles keep swapping once a phantom bludgeons Link in the back of the head. The goal is to avoid detection, maybe grab a power-up if you can, collect power gems, and bring them back to your base. Link can see the phantom's locations when holding a gem. The phantoms can always see Link's location unless he's chilling in a safe zone. You throw in the play control differences of having direct control of Link and only being able to command the phantoms with the drawn lines. It makes for a decent time, a little bit of asynchronous multiplayer there. There's a lot of on-the-fly decision-making that can change depending on what map you choose. Conceptually, great. The issue though, God, these touch controls are so cumbersome. So much of your stupid hand is blocking the stupid screen. It was already annoying in the base game, but when you're trying to implement those quick twitch maneuvers while trying to work with your general strategies, unfortunately, it is a little more annoying than fun. And that annoyance is still present in Spirit Tracks. However, much like the single-player adventure found within, it is simply so much better. Now, up to 4 Links can run around these arenas at the same time, grabbing as many power gems as possible, and that's it. Just go all out. The phantoms are back, but now they're CPU controlled. So you got them, you got stage obstacles, and even other Links can all screw up your plans and make you drop gems. And that's it, man. All strategy is thrown out the window. It is simply a mad dash to get a higher score than the other Links. While the controls are still kind of frustrating to deal with, the gameplay loop is way more conducive to the madness this whole battle is about. Plus, look how happy they are. I can't be mad at this, look at them. The mere idea that Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks have battle modes is just surreal. It's the only, quote, mainline game in this roughly 40-year-long franchise history to go, oh yeah, you know what, bring a friend along so you can kick their ass. You just wouldn't typically assume that a standard Zelda game is going to be ready for more than one person at any given time. Which finally gets us to the main topic of today's video. Hello, my name is AntDude, and I love taking forever to get to the point. For the vast majority of people out there, the whole idea of multiplayer Zelda games boils down to only 4 titles. We got 4 Swords on the Game Boy Advance, 4 Swords Adventures for the GameCube, 4 Swords Anniversary Edition for DSiWare, and Triforce Heroes for the 3DS. And outside of probably the Oracle games, these all go down as the least discussed games in the entire franchise. Which is kind of weird to think about when you say it out loud, but it does make sense. To really enjoy these games to the fullest, you gotta get some friends along and have them agree to play with you. And I get it, you know, making friends is tough, people kinda suck, but on the other hand, The Legend of Zelda is eternal, so you can see the conflict there. Have you ever played the Super Nintendo classic The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past and thought to yourself, this is good, but I just wish Link audibly yelled all the time? Well, this GBA port is just the thing for you. The Game Boy Advance always had this moniker of being a handheld Super Nintendo. We got versions of all-time classics like Yoshi's Island, Donkey Kong Country, Final Fantasy, with the selling point always being, hey, it's the game you all know and love, but now it's some new additions as well as it's in the palm of your hands. Isn't that cool? Give us money. Sure is nice going back to all these games nowadays with these bright-ass color palettes that were meant to compensate for the non-backlit screen on the original GBA. God, Donkey Kong Country is kind of unsettling now, and that mentality is no different with LOZLTTP. Outside of the constant annoying yelling, which yes, oh my god, it's very annoying. This is still the seminal Legend of Zelda experience. There are some differences with the Super Nintendo version if you want to dive into the finer minutia, but of course, what we're here to talk about today, bundled in with the original adventure is a whole new game, The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords. Now back in the day, you'd have to get at least 2 Game Boy Advances, each with a copy of A Link to the Past plus 4 swords for the Game Boy Advance family of systems, and the appropriate amount of link cables. Get it all hooked up, pray that none of the cables come loose, and then boom, you're playing some multiplayer Zelda in the mid-2000s. In more recent times, you're better off loading up an emulator of choice to play with people online, like that's super cool that has existed for years actually, but there's an even better option now because you can do the same thing on the Nintendo Switch's NSO Plus expansion pack service. I love that. 4 swords, an amazing mirror, multiplayer, accessible for the first time ever on console? And they want how much for the PS5 Pro? Bro, I love the Switch so much. Deep in this mysterious sanctuary in the kingdom of Hyrule rests a blade known as the 4 Sword that has sealed away the evil wind mage, Vati. Zelda senses that the seal is weakening, and before they can do anything about it, Vati appears and kidnaps her. Link then draws the sword, splitting him into 4 differently colored links, and now they must combine their powers to save Zelda and seal Vati once again. It's like almost the same exact plot as Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. Really don't gotta think much when it comes to coming up with multiplayer stories, I guess. Like, remember the Mario Bros game and the Mario Advance titles that introduced a Blue Mario and Yellow Mario? Dude, who are these guys? And where have they been since? I also like that Kirby has shown up multiple times in this retrospective. Like, I can't help it, man. He's the most influential Nintendo franchise. I don't make the rules. And once again, shout out to Vati, by the way. It is a really nice change of pace to have him as the main villain when he shows up in Minish Cap, but actually, 4 Swords is his debut. Fun little fact right there. He's just a purple Link, and his final form is an early Kirby final boss. It's great. So literally, the very first thing you're greeted to when starting this adventure is a level select screen. That's very different, of course. No grand sweeping overworld, no villages with NPCs, no typical dungeon progression. You have 4 areas to choose from, with the grassy sea of trees, the icy Talus Cave, the fiery Death Mountain, and the tutorial zone, the Chambers of Insight. Arguably something that is very crucial to fully understanding some of the game's mechanics, else you stand here struggling for 10 minutes before learning from an online guide that you can clink 2 swords together to spark a fire. What the fuck? And there you go, you just jump in, you just pick whatever you want and you go. And yes, this is the very first instance of the word Talus in a Zelda game. It only took 14 years for Breath of the Wild to let us know what a Talus even is, but here you go. There's a fun fact for you. And once you choose a stage, you are thrown into a series of floors filled with puzzles and items, with your goal to work together with the other links to clear the area out, eventually find a key, and move on. There's nothing here that's new for seasoned Zelda players here mechanically, but what 4 Swords lacks in originality, it makes up for with
the real superpower of teamwork!
You got hand carts that need 2 links to operate, some gaps that you have to cross by chucking someone over it, so many blocks that one link is simply too weak and baby to push on his own. Thankfully, you got more of them to come through and pick up the slack. And the bosses require some coordination between the different players in order to hit specific spots that only one specific link can hit. Otherwise, you're just gonna die. You're just gonna have a bad time. But there's also a little odor of competition as well, with the game keeping track of who got the most rupees at the end of the stage, giving you just enough time to call your partners a bad word before syncing back up to continue the adventure. Or, you know, you could just deal with them rage quitting. The only thing in the game that sucks is like you got this a-hole rupee wraith enemy that you can summon and it just ruins your life for a little bit. God, he sucks. He just floats there and takes a bunch of rupees away from you and you can't attack him. You just gotta deal with it. You can push him off into a partner, which just makes it more annoying for everybody. Like, I don't get it. It sucks. It sucks. But yeah, overall, It's a fine enough game, I guess. Nothing really groundbreaking here, it's mostly just kinda neat that you're playing a bare-bones Zelda experience with somebody else. And considering this game predates the Minish Cap, it's also nice to see the origins of this sorta 16-bit Toon Link art style. Hell, there's even a new item in this game, the Nat Hat, that basically just acts like Ezlo in the following game. That's cool. We even got throwbacks to Bow Wow from Link's Awakening and the magnetic glove from Oracle of Seasons, and this time, it doesn't burn your eardrums while using it. Hell yeah. Not hell yeah. Four Swords plays, looks, and sounds great. Until everybody has max health, which then triggers a 2x rupee multiplier that lasts until someone gets hit, and it's accompanied by... I don't know, it sounds like an AI-generated Super Mario Bros. Star theme. I'm so uncomfortable with this. You clear the 3 areas, you unlock Vati's Palace, which is pretty much the predecessor to Minish Cap's Palace of Winds. Loved that dungeon, so this was cool to see. And you battle the multi-form final boss against the quote-unquote fierce Wind Mage, and he's pathetic, man. It's a really good thing they gave this dude a second shot, because this first showing ain't it. Vati is resealed into the Four Sword, Link returns to normal, and then, yeah, now, do it again, I guess. Sure, you may have beaten the game, but you don't truly beat it until you do the whole campaign an additional 2 times. Wow, the Sonic Heroes comparisons really run deep. I mean, I guess it's kind of worth going through this game more than once. Like, levels are actually randomly generated, so there's a strong chance that you won't deal with the same experience more than once. Plus, you go from unlocking silver keys to gold keys, and eventually hero keys by beating the stages multiple times over. Ooh, you don't gotta do that. You do not gotta do that whatsoever. The levels end up being like slightly harder, but it's really not worth the effort. But if you do bring more people along, maybe it is. There are different stages catered to the number of people that you bring along. So really, for a game that takes like less than an hour to beat, you can get multiple hours out of this if you truly care. But for me, once was enough, and I likely won't return to it. The Legend of Zelda Four Swords is a neat novelty, and it is cool that it is finally accessible on the Switch, but there is just not enough depth there to warrant those additional playthroughs. As expected, Kirby clears in this area. Full completion simply brings you bragging rights. Sweet. Now you can say you did it. Maybe now Reggie will be my friend. But by beating it only once, like a sane person, you can actually hop back into A Link to the Past and take on a brand new side quest, Lumberjack's Riddles, from Q Bumpkin, a brand new NPC. They called him Bumpkin, huh? Definitely had a rough childhood. He gives you a short riddle for some animal or item that he wants. You go and get it, you bring it back to him, rinse and repeat until he's done. One of the riddle answers is Kookman. The one and only Kookman, he's back. Who could ever forget about Kookman? You remember, right? It can display millions of polygons. Yeah, that guy! Doing 10 of the riddles would give Link the Hurricane Spin, a more powerful spin attack where he doesn't shut the hell up. It's great, but more importantly, the reason why you would play this in the first place, there is the Palace of the Four Sword, a brand new LTTP dungeon. Inside are 4 pathways, each filled with tough puzzles, tougher enemies, including the like-likes, which aren't even in the base game, and I love them. Everybody loves the stupid like-likes. Their paths end off with harder versions of 4 of the standard bosses, eventually all culminating in a pretty tough battle with 4 Shadow Links. It's definitely a challenge, but before long, the first new dungeon in A Link to the Past in so many years has been completed, and oh. And then the credits roll. Okay, there is a quest log during the credits now, so sick, dude. The best takeaway from all this is that Four Sword does succeed at being sort of supplementary to the LTTP port experience, and it's really cool that the Four Sword as an item shows up in Minish Cap, but Four Sword itself, the actual adventure? Nintendo did release an enhanced version of Four Swords for the DSiWare a few years afterwards, but in between then, we're gonna take a bit of a GameCube detour with Four Swords Adventures, what is considered to be the worst selling game in the entire Zelda franchise, oh my god. About 1.5 years later, we got The Legend of Zelda Four Swords Adventures for the GameCube, aka Four Swords Plus in Japan. Kinda dig that name a little better. Finally, the Four Swords experience on a console, so now you don't have to worry about bringing multiple Game Boys and link cables to the party to have a good time. Yeah, it's worse now, actually. What's that? You want a 4-player game going on here? Okay, I got you. 1 GameCube, 1 copy of LOZ FSA, 4 Game Boy Advances, each with a GBA to GameCube link cable. Awesome, that's it, that's it. That's it, come on, that ain't that bad. That's so much plastic. So, like basically everyone else, it wasn't until years later where I managed to get a proper 4-player game going as God and Shigeru Zelda intended. The game does finally allow for just a single player to go on the adventure, and if you go about it that way, you can use just a standard controller, which is nice. It kind of pops up a fake GBA screen when needed. That's cute. Don't know why that feature is single player exclusive, but okay. But come on now, you want the full experience here. It's 4 swords after all. Why not go the extra mile? Perhaps you go the route of getting 5 GameCubes, 4 of them with GBA players, you get 5 TVs to hook them up to, along with a GameCube controller for all of them, and then boom. Easy $1,000 plus way to experience 4 Swords adventures in its peak. I understand why this is the worst selling game now. I am once again advocating for the benefits of emulation here because once again, Dolphin wins. Popular GameCube emulator Dolphin actually has integration with the popular GBA emulator MGBA, resulting in allowing the players to view both screens at the same time while using any controller they choose, and there's online play, making this the ultimate way to experience FSA nowadays if you can't force 3 of your closest friends and enemies to play in the same room with you. I mean, like, come on now, this is just cool as hell, right? You can even load up Wind Waker and play with the Tingle Tuner with ease. That's so cool that you can do this. And obviously this extends far beyond Zelda. You have easy access to the Sonic Advance Chow Garden shenanigans too while playing Sonic Adventure 2. Hell yeah. For this video, I did get to have the authentic experience by connecting a bunch of GBAs to a single GameCube, but man, using a GBA SP as a console controller for an extended period of time is a bit painful on the wrists. Really, Dolphin is the best way to go. Deep in this mysterious sanctuary in the kingdom of Hyrule rests a blade known as the Four Sword that has sealed away the evil mage, Vati. Wait, is this deja vu? Increased production values and one long scrolling text box aside, it is a fairly similar premise, just now, Zelda also calls upon 6 maidens for assistance on top of Link, and we also get a sudden Dark Link appearance who seals away the maidens and Zelda in dark crystals. Oh no! So now Link grabs the Four Sword, splits into 4 copies, Vati shows up, etc, etc. Time to yell expletives at your friends. Ganon even shows up in this one near the end, haha. Turns out they were trying to bring him back this whole time. Oh my goodness, heaven forbid we continue committing to the new guy. He's not even that tough in this game. Only took me like 5 minutes to kill him and you just slash him like crazy. Like he's super easy. Like, man, give Vati the ball. He can do something there, damn it. At its core, Four Swords Adventures is basically the same gameplay loop as GBA Four Swords, but a whole lot bigger. This time you got 8 full areas with 3 levels each, the third being somewhat a more traditional dungeon. You got towns and NPCs that you'll run across occasionally, sometimes with quests that you will tackle right then and there. Sometimes there are so many more enemies on screen at any given time, it's just like nonsensical combat here. Honestly, I'm all for it. Much grander boss battles, they're really fun, introducing a bunch of brand new creatures that toe the line between original and familiar in a way that both works in single player as well as co-op, thanks to how easy it is to now split your squad up at any given time, which you're gonna want to remember that point for a little later on. I got some Triforce opinions for you there. There's so much more variety in the landscapes, like the typical grasslands and mountains, but there's also the Lost Woods, a mysterious desert, and regularly shifting your attention to the GBA screen, allowing some links to see things exclusive to them, while the rest are still up above ground, doing whatever the hell. Who cares? That's them, not you. It is literally just what the Wii U, an entire console, was selling its entire gimmick as, and they didn't revisit it on that system, but thank God Nintendo funded Devil's Third instead. And if you do tackle this game by yourself, well, good news, the game introduces the formation system. You will control all 4 links at the same time, and you can quickly swap between 4 different formations with the flick of a stick, and easily split up and control just one link, while the others are like, okay, fine, not like I wanted to be on this adventure anyway, I'm not even that mad. They look so grumpy just sitting there. And this makes a single player experience relatively enjoyable. However, the thing that really sucks about this is that if you pick up an item, all 4 links in your squad are required to hold that one item, as opposed to 4-player where each player can hold something different, requiring communication to keep things moving smoothly. In single player, for example, if you want the boomerang that you had earlier, but you got the bow and arrow now, you gotta backtrack to where you left the boomerang, you gotta lose the bow and arrow, and hope that you don't need it back for the rest of the stage, otherwise you gotta backtrack some more. Like, God, This game would be so much better if you can just L and R button your way through the different items. This ruins the pace so much for the way that I guess you're not even supposed to play this game in the first place. This goes doubly for the brand new temporary leveled up items, so like you'll find a great fairy, you can throw like a bow at it and then you'll get a level 2 bow back, but you can still place the level 2 bow somewhere else, and if you want to backtrack specifically to the level 2 bow, you gotta go to where you specifically left that one. Not every bow in the stage levels up, just that one. Like, oh my god, this is bad design. This doesn't absolutely ruin the single player experience, but it does make the multiplayer experience that much better. All you gotta do is say, hey Jimmy, hey stupid, give me the level 2 bow. That's it. That's all you gotta do. It's way better. We don't like Jimmy in this game anyway. But ultimately, no matter how you play it, FSA is way better than the original FS. I even like that it still looks like a higher fidelity GBA game. Games like this at the time didn't show up super often, so while it's obviously less impressive than a full 3D game, it is definitely one of those stands up to the test of time things, something that Nintendo is all too familiar with after Wind Waker. However, the graphical style and once again the reliance on multiplayer, it was definitely all a gamble that did not work out for the company. Once again, the least selling Zelda game of all time, not even cracking 1 million copies. Dude, okay, imagine this, right? Sonic Gems Collection outsold this game, okay? All I can take from this is that people yearn for Sonic R more than Four Swords Adventures, alright? That's the only logical conclusion I got. Even still, Four Swords Adventures succeeds where the original Four Swords failed. This actually feels more like a Zelda game that you just so happen to be playing with others. Single player, it's not great, and obviously it's gonna lack story depth compared to like Twilight Princess, and if anything else, the game is also very long. Like, it's an unnecessarily long adventure. 8 worlds with 3 levels each, like this goes on for quite a while. There's not enough variety to make it that interesting. This game goes on for a few hours longer than it needs to be. But if you do find the time to play with others, you are in for one of the better co-op experiences Nintendo has ever produced. Adventuring is really fun, puzzle solving with others is pretty satisfying, there's still that light odor of competition with the rupee rankings at the end of the stages, and there's even a handful of mini games that you can play over at the Tingle Tower. You got horse racing, cocoa gathering, all volleying, and there's even an entirely separate fight to the death mode with Shadow Battle. All 4 links can just fight until only one remains. This is what Zelda's been missing this whole time. They really did try as much as they could with this idea, and it's wild that in the 20 plus years since release, it has not been ported or attempted again in this style. Triforce Heroes is really its own thing. There is definitely room for something more along the lines of Four Swords Adventures 2 nowadays. And man, if this truly is the worst selling Zelda game of all time, imagine how many people got to experience the Japanese and Korean exclusive Navi Trackers mode. In this mode, up to 4 links will run around a map hunting for different pirates, sometimes participating in some minigames. It's pretty straightforward, but again, a shocking amount of effort went into this. You got a full 3D Wind Waker styled opening, plenty of original sprite work for the GBA screen that is not in Minish Cap or original Four Swords, and a ton of voice acting for Tetra on the TV screen. I'm assuming there is such a reliance on foreign language and voice acting, that was enough for Nintendo to not localize this mode with the rest. And that's a shame, because like another fun Nintendo fact here, the original inspiration for this mode was the first game Eiji Aonuma directed, Marvelous, for the Super Nintendo, or specifically a Satellaview re-release, BS Marvelous, Time Athletic, which had a real-time narration system that guided you towards stamps, which, yeah, is basically exactly what Navi Trackers would become. The game even originally had Marvelous characters in it. I don't even know who she is, but that's really cool. Dude, this may not mean much in the grand scheme of things, but any reference to some niche Nintendo backlog stuff like that, I love it so much. I have no idea who this woman is, but she was alive for like 5 seconds, and that was a great 5 seconds. Now let's fast forward a few more years. It's 2011 and the 3DS is currently in there. Oh god, we're falling. Oh my god, the 3DS is falling so hard. I can't believe Steel Diver isn't saving us. Phase. It is also the Zelda series' 25th anniversary, E3 celebration, orchestrated music, Ocarina of Time is getting a remake on the 3DS, Skyward Sword is happening, giving us the most iconic Miyamoto moment of all time. Link's Awakening is being ported to the Nintendo 3DS Virtual Console, and we got a brand new Four Swords game for DSiWare, available for only a few months, but hey, it was free.
The 4-player cooperative Legend of Zelda Four Swords that we're going to make available to all of you as a free download.
Am I really crazy for thinking that this was going to be a new game? It wasn't until the trailer when it was revealed to be a sort of remaster of the GBA game. That's an odd marketing call, but whatever, it's free. That's like complaining about Jump Rope Challenge. I can only care so much, this bunny is indicative of a darker time. You know what's really weird too with the limited release strategy for this game specifically? It actually got a second release wave. It was first available from late September 2011 to February of 2012, and then after A Link Between Worlds release, it was available once again for free on the eShop for, and I'm not kidding here, 3 days in early 2014. 3 days. What? The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Anniversary Edition. So yes, this is more or less the same game as the GBA version, but with a few core changes. For one, you can play in single player now. Cool! This mode limits you to 2 links that you can control independently, or have them follow you FSA style. And yeah, it just works. Anything that requires 2 links to function, the other link will suddenly grow a brain and work with you. It's nice. They're gaining sentience. And wow, oh my god, look at that! Each link can hold a different item. God, this fixes things so much. Adventures is really being held back from true greatness with this one change alone, I'm telling you. With the move to the DS, of course, we also have more screen space. That's really nice. There is better quality music and sound effects. That's cool. A functional bottom screen with an always visible radar. This is clearly like the superior version of the game, right? Like unquestionably, but there's more. With no A Link to the Past to stop and swap content with this time around, is there any new benefit to killing Vati at the end of this adventure? Well, there's the Hero's Trial, which is a tough final challenge, as well as the Realm of Memories. Inside are 3 doors, each containing 3 stages, all based on classic Zelda games. You got Hyrule's castle exterior, interior, and the Lost Woods from A Link to the Past, Lower Koholint Island, Tail Cave, and Tal Tal Heights from Link's Awakening, and the Central Overworld, Lost Woods and Graveyard, and Level 1 from the original NES Legend of Zelda. Each stage has a modified art style, we got music ported from the source game, and completing all of these will give you the Master Sword. This is one of the coolest things ever. I didn't think the Zelda franchise was really dialing into the fan service until Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U, but nah. This was happening too, and I totally missed it. I don't know how the knowledge of these stages went by me for well over a decade. How many people have gotten to experience this? This is really cool. It's like the Gramps fight in Link Between Worlds all over again. I somehow missed some of the greatest bits of fan service in Zelda history, and for this, it's locked behind a DSiWare game that you couldn't even access for the majority of time the eShop was still around. Oh wait, I'm sorry, except for those 3 random days in 2014. This company drives me insane sometimes. A lot of times. 4 Swords Adventures is still the best so far, but Anniversary shows that there's a lot of potential with this idea. So now we give it a few more years, wait for a new console to come out with the 3DS, and we give it one more go with The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes. And this is now the 2nd worst selling game in the entire franchise. Oh my god, people don't care. You see, this is another one of those Diddy Kong's Quest versus Diddy's Kong Quest scenarios here. It's not Triforce, one word, like the triangular object of legend. It is Triforce, 2 words, since the whole point of the game is a trio of links forcing their way through whatever stands in their path. Haha, and it's on the 3DS, Triforce 3DS. Dude! Either single player with 2 dolls that you can swap control with at any time, and they have the most horrifying faces of all time. It's like if a shy guy were robbed of all of its soul. Or with 2 other actual humans. I forced them to play with me. You can go on this brand new handheld adventure. Do you want to bring just one other person along? So you got a whole 2-player with 1 doll situation going on? No, sorry, idiot, can't do that. It's either 1 player or 3 players. Those are your only options. You cannot play this game with only 2 people. What? You could have also gone online and gotten 2 strangers to join in with you, but then you're only able to communicate with these emotes? Oh god, that sounds dreadful. All while the Wii U was flatlining and Nintendo fans were anxiously awaiting the releases of Ziplash and Ultra Smash, it is really no surprise that this would go on to become the 2nd worst selling game in the franchise. I just can't get over it. I cannot believe that. That's insane. I mean, I guess it makes sense in the grand scheme of things, but still, that's crazy. This game is actually really good too, but it did not stand a chance. It's the game where Toon Link can wear a dress and they reference LTTP's pink-haired Link. Triforce Heroes deserved better. There was that brief period of time where you were able to get like Yokai Watch and Happy Home Designer for $5, and this was there along with it, man. Like, everyone complains about Nintendo games never getting discounts, right? But no, for a good period of time, Triforce Heroes was $5, and I still don't think people were buying it. Oh my god. All right, now, brace yourself. We actually got an original storyline here, introducing the Kingdom of Hytopia, home to Princess Styla, who was beloved by everybody. Well, except for one person, the evil Drablands witch, Lady Maud, who specifically attacks Styla's fashion sense by gifting her an irremovable ugly gray bodysuit. The horror. Completely humiliated, she locks herself in her bedroom, causing chaos in Hytopia, and for her father, King Tuft. A call has been issued for any available hero to come and save the kingdom, specifically a Triforce hero, being one with pointy ears, epic sideburns, and side-parted hair. Epic sideburns? Really epic? Epic sideburns, huh? Okay. Odd localization right off the bat, okay. It's your outfit, it's a bit, well, isn't it adorbs? Adorbs? Oh god, okay, this fills me with such a unique pain I don't see very often. Link just said adorbs. This man doesn't talk, but he said adorbs. They're totally gonna say like Link's outfit is on fleek, aren't they? I'm gonna, ooh man. Alright, here, squad goals, I guess. Yeah, if that was painful to hear, I apologize. It was painful to write down too. Of course, now it is up to you to claim the title of the Triforce Hero, overcome all of the Drabland challenges that lay out before you, and look fabulous while doing so. It's a brand new kingdom filled with brand new characters, including Madame Couture's cat. I love them, as well as a relatively brand new style that looks really good. Not only is this game clearly built off of the Link Between Worlds engine from a few years prior, but actually, this is the same Link from that adventure. Like, I guess after saving Hyrule, you had nothing else better to do, so you took part in this fashion contest, I guess. Okay, I'm all for it. But like, isn't Link Between Worlds considered Link to the Past 2? So does that make Triforce Heroes technically Link to the Past 3? Oh, once again, the number 3 is there again, oh my god. But okay, if that's too much of a stretch for you, consider this. Triforce Heroes is the only Zelda game on the 3DS that is more or less completely original. This console is filled with a bunch of remasters, ports, we got a sequel, Picross, can't forget about Twilight Princess Picross. It was this game specifically where the creators were able to flex their creative muscle to the fullest. And it is something that Nintendo didn't give us with another top-down Zelda game again until 2024's Echoes of Wisdom. All I'm saying here is, Triforce Heroes represents quite a weird spot in Zelda history. Now, the structure of this adventure remains pretty similar to the 4 Swords games before it. We got 8 areas with 4 levels each. Green Link, Blue Link, and Red Link drop in. Purple Link, bye-bye, see ya stupid, you didn't get the invite. And it is up to you 3 to work together to solve any puzzles and defeat any enemies that stand in your way. You've heard this all already before in this video. But the 2 main differences outside of going from 4 links to 3 is the general smoothness of control. That Link Between Worlds engine putting in excellent work to make a game that, god, this may be the smoothest any Link has ever felt in this entire franchise. It plays so well, and there is a much stronger reliance on working together with your partners at all times. There's a brand new totem mechanic, where you stack up on each other's legs to reach a box of cereal that's on too high of a ledge. Everyone's items have to be used in tandem way more often, like making water pillars tall enough for a bow user to strike a boss. I love that. And instead of just chucking every Link over a ledge, you have to chuck over the correct Link so you can pull the others over with the boomerang, stuff like that. And every Link can also put on a cute little outfit that sometimes alters some of your stats, like the rate of finding hearts during the stages. And hell, this whole costume thing, I love it to death. I love when games give you costumes. However, this does add a bit of unnecessary grinding to the mix. You see, stages will give you materials that you can then bring back to Madame Couture's shop, and there is no way you can afford every new costume on your first attempt. So, if you want, say, Link in a cheerleader outfit, and damn it who doesn't, you're gonna have to work for it. And that's doubly so for single player, since typically a level will give you 3 treasure chests once you complete it, 1 for each Link, but in single player, the other 2 just go away, so you kinda get penalized for doing single player. God. And on top of that, like dude, every level has 3 additional challenges that you can tackle after the initial completion. That jumps the initial level count of 32 to 128. And the game keeps separate records of your solo runs versus your full co-op runs. So technically full completion is doing all 128 missions twice. oh god. And then you got the Den of Trials, a 9th area that features 40 floors and rewards you with the Fierce Deity outfit. Oh my god, that's so awesome. Oh dude, a Linebeck costume. That's so crazy. The fan service is so strong, you almost forget that guy was an absolute tool bag. If you got friends that are willing to commit to this entire quest with you just for some virtual fabric, then you guys are friends for life. Nothing will ever tear that bond. Dude, just imagine the three of you rocking the timeless tunic outfit. Like, oh man, this is so retro. You see, it's cool because when you put it on, the music actually goes 8-bit. Wow, this is crazy, man. Nostalgia overload. But, here's the thing. Here's the reason why I think so many people have told me over the years that this game is just flat out not good. Single player. Oh god, it's not good. It is super easy to swap between the 3 links by tapping them on the touchscreen, sure, but like I said, there is a stronger reliance on collaboration than ever before. So, doing your typical puzzle solving, but also needing quick reflexes to regularly tap the touchscreen and reorient yourself in a second so you don't take damage, it's not fun. It would be different if all the links were on a single screen like in Four Swords Adventures, but no, sometimes camera jumping is involved, and it really sucks on the eyes. You see, I just played through Federation Force for the 3DS nostalgia video, and so much of that time I was like, god, this either sucks and it takes too long when I'm by myself, or this sucks but it sucks with 3 other people now in co-op. Here, thankfully, I guess, it's just a single player. Like, it's mostly just a single player that sucks. I was really worried that these co-op designed with a single player option games would just be a complete annoyance from start to finish, but while the single player Triforce Heroes experience is easily one of the most frustrating games in the entire Zelda franchise, if you can get a full squad of people with you and you can easily communicate with them, this game is genuinely great. And sorry, Nintendo, playing with randos online and just praying they understand what I mean when I spam the cheerleader emote may even be a worse time than single player. Like, man, just put this on a console. Just put this on a console. Listen, I get it. Four Swords Adventures is also great for different reasons, but Triforce Heroes is just better at what this sort of side series is trying to accomplish. That level of teamwork and slight customization with the costume choices and really no odor of competition at all here, you are just a team now. It is one of the best co-op experiences ever, but it just has a bunch of asterisks with it, and as a result, barely anybody's ever gotten to play it the ideal way. And it leads to a really bizarre ranking for these games in particular. Like, FSA and Anniversary are both fine in single player and multiplayer, just in different ways, but Triforce Heroes single player is way worse, and Triforce Heroes multiplayer is way better. Hell, I think I had more fun doing stupid Tingle's balloon fight multiplayer than Triforce Heroes single player. Like, man, at least that was neat. At least I have a better time saying I did that. All that being said though, any of these multiplayer Zelda games, it really is still best in short bursts. A couple of hours of a single play session, I almost wanted my partner's dead. Nobody listens to me when I'm right, and I'm right all of the time except for the times that I'm not right, and it's all their fault. Eventually, all 3 links travel to the Sky Realm for the final string of challenges, and on stage 4, you finally reach the ultimate... evil seems strong in this instance, but fine. The ultimate evil, the Lady. Not that ominous of a title, but we take it. It's an odd boss for sure, but just like Vaati, I love when a Zelda game is willing to have a unique final antagonist. Like, man, there is no sign of Ganon whatsoever in this game, or even Zelda. Actually, no Zelda, no Ganon at all. It's just Lady. Another brilliantly co-op filled or disgusting single player filled battle later, the Lady is defeated. You can now craft the Lady's Ensemble, and with that new power, you are able to restore Princess Styla's iconic outfit, and yes, her self-confidence. The town celebrates with one final totem pose, and that wraps up The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes. Excellent artwork during their credits too, man. I love this style so much. I wish we got more of this. There's also this little information nugget that I totally missed when I first beat the game, that apparently Lady Maud is actually the sister of Madame Couture. They're related. And it does make sense, they are both the ones that are making new outfits for the characters, it's just that one is for good and one is for evil, so there's some lore there, I guess. I don't care though. But yeah, as far as multiplayer goes, this is easily the best one so far. Even the ending is far better than the Four Swords games. Like, before, you seal Vaati, the princess is saved, the other maidens too in the case of Adventures. and that's about it. Triforce Heroes simply features so much more heart and personality, and it's just a shame that at its core design, it is really hard to enjoy it the way it was meant to be enjoyed. Plus, with 2 of these games being at the bottom of the Zelda sales charts, it would be a miracle if they ever gave this a shot again. This joy that I got from this game is basically what I was hoping to get out of Federation Force. It's still wild to me that they tried 2 different co-op focused games like this so close to each other, and they both failed. Maybe one day Triforce Heroes will hit that sort of cult classic status, but currently, doesn't seem likely. If there is any takeaway from this journey, it's that there is a lot of quality multiplayer experiences in a franchise that is known specifically for its grand single-player adventures. Whether it be a side mode in a single-player game or a title built with multiplayer as its core focus. Sure, they don't all hit the highs of the traditional adventures, but if you find yourself surrounded by the right people, you still got some damn fun games here. And hell, while we're at it, how about all those other handheld Zelda games that we've already covered? Outside of the Breath and Tears duology, console Zelda games have always followed a fairly typical formula, while the handheld games have always tampered with expectations, introducing new worlds and mechanics and art styles, sometimes expanding on existing ones. I don't think it's really fanboyish to say that all Zelda games are special, but man, these handheld adventures are really something else. You simply do not get a point-and-click Tingle romance simulator without being willing to try some weird shit. Giving Link a train instead of a horse is hardly the most original idea Nintendo's come up with here. So what's the final head count here? We got 7 handheld full quests, we got 3 Tingle oddball journeys, 4-ish multiplayer adventures, and a bright future of these unique spin-offs showing up on home consoles. It's safe to say that, you know what, The Legend of Zelda, it's a pretty good franchise. Oh yeah, also Frog Game, haven't mentioned that for a good while. God, please go play Frog Game 2, that game is so good. So, at the end of the day, The Legend of Zelda